Hey everyone, it is Dave. Welcome into module number 6. So we're coming toward the end of the class right now. We're about 75% through once we complete this module. But this module is one of my favorites because it deals with people like Vincent van Gogh as well as Picasso. We get to take a little bit more in-depth look at the lives of these particular artists. We're going to be studying everything from post-impressionism to fauvism as well as cubism. For our projects this week, we do have a Picasso project. I'm going to have you do some drawing. It's going to be a really fun project. And last week we covered modern architecture. So we have a modern architecture worksheet that is going to be available to you, and I'm going to have you fill that out. We do have our normal journal entries, number 9 and number 10. Those will be turned in at the time of the final exam, which is only 2 weeks away. So hang in there. We only have one more week of material, and again, you do have some flexibility because during the finals week in week 8, that is all that we have to do is turn in the journals and complete the final exam. So join me. We're going to head over to the Canvas site. I'll walk you through module number 6. All right, here we are on the Canvas site. And as you can see, we just have a couple modules left after this module. And there's only one more module with material in it. Module 8 is just the journal entry submission form and the final exam. Up top, we have a little bit different setup. We do have our video like normal, as well as our introduction. My office hours. However, this week we do have some special office hours just for Chaffey students, 4:30 to 6 p.m. on Monday, 9/16. They are never required, but you're more than welcome to jump on, ask me a question, anything like that. Underneath that, we have our lectures, Post-Impressionism. I've got our video, our study guide, and there's just one thing in the post-impressionist section, and that is a film called The Art of the Steal. It is a fantastic film. I do recommend watching it in 2 parts. It is optional for this class, but it's probably a good idea to tag and watch after this class is over when you have some time. The lecture on Vincent van Gogh. This is actually a professional lecture, just like my art theft lecture was earlier on in the semester. The study guide and the further exploration section gives you a link to the letters of Vincent van Gogh. A lot of what we know about this artist stems from his letters, specifically those to his brother. There is an episode of Doctor Who called Vincent and the Doctor. This is a little excerpt from that. However, the entire episode is historically inaccurate, but it is a really good kind of tear-jerking episode. Don McLean, who is famous for the song American Pie, also wrote a song dedicated to Vincent van Gogh called Starry, Starry Night. And then in the 70s, we also had that wonderful TV show called In Search Of. It was hosted by Leonard Nimoy. They covered everything from earthquakes and tsunamis to King Tut, ghosts, paranormal activity, UFOs, things like that. But they did an episode on Vincent van Gogh that was really good. In fact, Leonard Nimoy played Vincent's brother Theo in a stage production of Vincent's life. The third lecture is on fauvism. There is no further exploration section. There is just the lecture and the study guide. And finally, the life and loves of Pablo Picasso. It's also primarily dealing with cubism. So we go from fauvism to cubism. In Module 7, Futurism. We have the video, the study guide, and for the further exploration section, there are just 2 videos. There is one film about Picasso. It's about 2 hours long. It's 2 hours of him drawing, just like you see here. So this is about a 2.5-minute clip. That is perfect for you to know exactly what the entire film is like. And then Picasso's Guernica. This is one of his most important paintings, second to only La Demoiselle d'Avignon, which gave us abstraction. And this is definitely a video I would suggest watching. You will probably see that painting on the final exam. I'm going to jump down to journals 9 and 10. Journal 9 deals with Henri Matisse, and Matisse and Picasso happen to be really close friends. A lot of times you'll see them listed or written about as vicious rivals. They were not. They were rivals, absolutely, because they had two totally distinct ideas about what art should be. However, they were close friends. They lived near one another, they hung out together, and even after Matisse's death, he died about 15, 20 years before Picasso. Picasso had nothing but good things to say about him in his memory. We have Notes of a Painter, which is Matisse's writing about what painting should be like in the early 1900s. It's always great to hear directly from the artists in their own words. And we're going to do the same with Picasso with journal entry number 10, just about 2 pages of Picasso speaks and his thoughts about the new type of art that he introduced called Cubism. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the 2 projects that are due this week. The first one is the discussion board on Picasso, and the second is on modern architecture. So for our discussion board on Picasso, what I'm going to have you do is draw an object in a cubist format. You'll begin with a light pencil drawing. You do want to fill the entire space with color. Upload your completed picture to the discussion board. Tell everyone the object you used, and also you can talk about how long it took you to create this drawing, or did you find it easy or not so easy. Please comment on one other group member's post. Some things to keep in mind: do not use an object that was in the video or examples below. Do not create a face. This is not a Picasso face project. And I do want you to transform an inanimate object, something that doesn't move, for this project. Also, do not fracture the object and think you've created cubism. That is not cubism. Cubism is where we see objects at all different vantage points, from different points of view simultaneously. Do not copy or appropriate anything from online. All images that you post are put through a Google image search. For the material, drawing paper is great. I would like something more substantial than printer paper. However, if that's all you have, that's what will have to work. Your choice of drawing materials, however, colored pencils do work best. And your choice of object, I would only choose one object for this project. Remember, for cubism, we're looking for flatness of field, 2-dimensional art, repeating of the object, seeing the object from all sides. The first post is due on September 22nd, reply September 29th. For grading, 16 points for the drawing and paragraph, 4 points for the response to another group member's post. I've got a video that shows a gentleman drawing in cubism and how easy it is. A few student examples as well. Our other project is based on last week's material. In Module 5, we talked about modern architecture. I'm just going to have you fill out a modern architecture worksheet on a building of your choice. The only rule is that it cannot be a building from last week's lecture or study guide, so it has to be a building that you're doing new research on. Keep in mind that the building that you choose must be modern, so it has to be constructed between 1850 and the 1950s. If you get into the 1960s, that's actually postmodern. It needs to be constructed using the skeleton and skin system, and it needs to be made with modern materials such as glass, concrete, and steel. Stay away from buildings that may have columns, domes, arches, anything that references the ancient world. Answer the questions on the worksheet. Type your responses directly into the worksheet. Please leave a space between the question and your answer. I do suggest choosing a building that is pretty well known rather than something that is more rare. I just want your research to be easier. You are also allowed to think outside the United States, outside of Europe. There's wonderful modernist buildings in Japan as well as South America. You are not allowed to use any building, once again, that was in the presentation or on the worksheets or on the examples below. So here's the worksheet. And I've got the very first thing you're going to do is insert a picture of the building that you're writing about. Question 2 deals with the facts. What is the name of the building, its location, when was it constructed, how is the building being used today? Consider adding other facts such as any awards that the building has won, or if it is on a preservation list, as in the case of a lot of Frank Lloyd Wright homes. Provide some information about the architect or architects involved in the project. Keep in mind you are allowed to use other works of architects in the lecture. So in the lecture we talked about Frank Lloyd Wright, I think the Hollyhock House, and we talked about Falling Water. He created another 980 different designs, so you're more than welcome to use those, as well as the case study houses. I think we talk about 2 case study houses in the lecture. You're more than welcome to use any of the others. What were the major construction materials being used? What makes the building you chose modern? Why did you end up choosing the building? This is a very important paragraph. And also list your sources. You do need at least 3 academic level sources. Wikipedia would not count in that. And no more than 5 sources because it is just a short worksheet. I do have 5 examples here, and I will mention that these are used as examples because they are amazing. So here's an example from a past student. We have the building here, great picture of it. You can see that these paragraphs are pretty substantial. They don't have to be all even like this. For instance, if you have the major construction materials as a smaller paragraph, that's totally okay. But what I would like is that by the time you are done, you should have about 25 to 30 lines of text for this project, which is basically a 1-page essay, maybe a couple more lines than that as far as being equivalent to. So that's basically what I'm looking for this project. It is worth 30 points. It is due on the 22nd. It does have a late date of the 29th, and as long as you turn it in by the 29th, I will not mark it down for being late. I still have a lot to grade after the midterm, and with that, I think that is everything for module number 6. I will be back shortly to tell you about module number 7.